being showered.
Hey, Ben, tell me, bro, why is that shirt of yours screaming to be released?
No, I must tell you one thing. So I haven't been wearing my normal clothes since we closed.
Yeah.
But I've been exercising like a lot, like almost 2 hours or more than 2 hours every day.
Really?
So today, I didn't iron my clothes. So I'm going for the one that I know I can wear and it fits me.
Yeah.
And when I try, I'm like, Jesus,
I'm too buff.
It doesn't fit me. No, I'm not too buff, but yeah.
You're extremely buff.
But I'm getting there,
Yeah.
So that's the reason. So I can't do it now.
Yeah.
But I went to try to look for another one, and all of them were not ironed.
They were just... So you had to choose the one that makes you buff.
No, I'm buff. It doesn't make me buff. But no, I'm joking.
You're very buff.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Listen, Bien, thanks so much for joining me, bro. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, man. I was looking for this, up to this for the whole day.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're a busy man, bro. That's why I'm so privileged to have you. You've been doing such awesome stuff on Instagram, and I wanted to talk about it. So for those who are watching that don't know who this buff man is, this is Shumani. Shumani is a good friend of mine from originally in Cape Town. We studied the same university. Shumani is cleverer than me, so he did clever people courses like engineering and masters in commerce. I just did simple biology. But Shumani is now a banker with ABSA. But I'm explaining it in a simple way. You'll elaborate the complicated stories. But during lockdown, you've been doing some really interesting stuff. And I wonder if you can just give people some background about what you do, and also what you've been doing over lockdown. Like, how has it been for you? What have you gotten up to?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean what I do as my job?
As your job. And what have you been getting up to during lockdown? Because you haven't been sitting still like other people. You've been doing crazy stuff.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I'm a trader. I work at ABSA, and I'm a sales trader. So more on the client side of things. And what I do on that side is that I structure like different deals for clients. And you can imagine around this time, actually, when the markets are really going crazy, that's when actually my job really becomes really crazy.
Sure.
And so I started at ABSA in 2018. And when I started there, I was in market risk. I started as a junior market risk. And then I got promoted in 2019 to an actual analyst. Then after a few months, then I got a new job, which was like almost my dream job I can remember since like university. So in almost everything that I still think of in the bank, that's probably still what I want to do.
Yeah.
And still what I see myself doing for quite some time. Yeah.
Wow.
And amazing, so it's been very, very, very tough, to be honest, with you. I think balancing time with everything that I'm doing has been very tough, especially with the amount of time that my job has been requiring. Because it's been taking like a lot of time. I work like close to a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
And my boss sits in London, so whatever he communicates to me, it has to be done as quickly as possible. So it actually means that I start my job way earlier before him.
Okay.
But usually I can't leave the office before my boss leaves the office in the UK.
Yeah.
So he's working 2 hours ahead of me.
Yeah.
And when he leaves the office, that's actually the time when I actually get to leave the office.
Wow.
And what I've been busy on quite a lot, except exercising, which you mentioned. It's been... So I've always been very passionate about giving giving back. And I think because I'm a product of giving back, like people gave back to me for me to actually just be exactly where I am right now. And I remember, and I always bring up this, I remember when I was, when we're walking there, Kuliso, by, during Rosemas Fall time, actually, by what's that place again? Baxter Theatre, like just by the main road in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And I met you guys, and that was probably the highest like super conscious time of my life ever.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was is because during that time I was introduced to a concept of being socially aware and understanding how much it takes for us as Black people to get exactly where we want to get to. Yeah. And as someone that comes from a place where I don't see any white people at all, it was a very, very insanely tough concept to grasp, because you get to understand how many limitations you actually have in this kind of system, and how much it will actually take you to go further. And from there, I felt like from the beginning that, you know, I need to, you know, like, because I was so negative about everything around that time.
Okay.
I started asking myself, why am I complaining about these things and not really becoming part of the solution to these things?
Sure. Okay.
And which is a very tough question, because I was at a privileged position to be at UCT. Why am I not using my privilege actually to try to represent people, like how much we actually know about the whole representation concept? And from then, I felt like in everything that I want to do, I just don't want it to represent me only. Okay. Maybe if that is, maybe I would have gotten a lot of money already by now. Now I'm like myself in my personal capacity. But I felt like everything that I needs to do needs to represent the people, my people, like Black people, who I know really need someone to actually advocate for them in a lot of stuff. And just to summary back now, one day I was sleeping. As I was about to sleep, I think quite a lot. So I always usually put myself in people's positions. And and one thing I did just before I sleep, I started thinking, man, my mom used to earn 800 when I was growing up, and we used to buy 150, or using 150 Rand groceries for the month. Sure. And which is insane. The other, she had to use it for me to go to school, which is insane, because then I'm like, shucks, Shumani, if you were back then and that this was happening, it actually meant that your mom will not be working. And how were you guys going to get money, given that a lot of people haven't even registered their domestic workers? And it hits me so deep, you know, when it takes you back. Yeah. And then that day, I literally had like, I always get these highs. I don't know what you call them. It's like the highs of believing it. And the more anyone disagree, it's like it just gets higher and higher and higher and higher. Yeah. And that time, this might sound insane, but I felt like I could raise 1 billion Rand. Wow. Literally, I was sleeping. I'm like, I'm waking up tomorrow and I'm gonna raise 1 billion Rand in like in like a week. I felt like I could do it. I felt like I had the channels to do it. And that's what got me busy, because I set up the account and then calm down, become very realistic about it. And then what keeps me busy quite often, it's doing coming up with like marketing strategies to actually try to raise a lot of money, distribution of those 500 vouchers that we talked about. Like we just recently released 120 vouchers. Wow. That takes a lot of time, because I have to validate, I have to take IDs, I have to take names. Sometimes I have to ask for the pictures just to get approved. Sometimes I get scammed, which is another thing. Yeah. And beyond that, there's a lot of things that I've been doing as well. Like I edit like people's CVs on my spare time. I think I had more than 100 CVs that were on my email.
Wow.
And I had to go through each and every one of them. So literally, it ends up being my whole day just being taken by all these things that we're talking about here. But I gave it, yeah.
It sounds to me like you've got a heart for people. And I don't think it started now. For as long as I've known you, you've always been, people orientated. And I think you've always been burdened by the plight of others. But I think for people who don't know you, you haven't always been this privileged. You mentioned your background, you grew up deep in Venda, much deeper than I've gone in Venda, by the way. And like you say, you came from you say you came from very humble beginnings. Huh?
Yeah. No, it's fine.
No. So I think it's very inspirational. So just the details of this campaign. So how is it being administrated? So you've raised how much so far?
So by today I've raised approximately 78,000. 78,000.
78,000. And you did this through crowdfunding.
Yeah. So it's a crowdfunding called Bucks.
Okay.
It's a South African-based crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So they've helped me quite a lot with setting up the page and and all of that. All I did on my side was the marketing. And
you've done this via your social media.
Yeah, it was tough. So remember, I told you that from the first day, I tried to post something, actually believing that I will raise R1 billion.
Yeah.
And I posted this stuff on social media, and no one believed in it.
Yeah.
No one retweeted, no one likes, and I'm like, shucks, this thing is so deep.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand. When you want people to enter inside you, like to feel exactly how you're feeling, but they are not. And I'm like, shucks. And there's a difference. When I talk about my mom on my social medias, things goes boom. Because that's what I'm known for. I talk about my background to try to inspire people. But this kind of stuff is like, I see it like 2 likes or 2 people comment and all of that. And I'm like, shucks. When you reflect back and you're like, maybe I was just too ambitious. But then the more that happens, the more I felt like I needed to strategize. I needed to understand exactly what would I do to actually reach a higher amount of people. So understanding, first of all, that my social media didn't have reach for that because no one was responding to it. I had to come with a strategy that I think will work. And everything, quite often, I remember I plan everything when I'm gymming. Like my gym session is like my time to think about life. It's like one of the greatest time ever. And I remember I was thinking in the gym, I'm like, Shumani, let's be honest with you. You think you're somebody, but no one is gonna donate in this thing.
Yeah.
You have to try another strategy to actually try to advertise this thing, because you've been talking about this thing vocally all the time, and no one is even trying to say. Even your friends, some of them aren't even sending messages like, "Hey, buddy, I can see what you're doing. This is great. Let's do it." Then you receive a message from one person or 2, and that's when I thought of the power of connections. So because I can't do it with my profile, what if I do it with other people's profiles? So I have 2,000 followers. Not many people maybe view my stories, just a few people, but I can reach a higher number of people using people's accounts, right? And one thing that I just need to do, I need to make people feel obligated that they need to support this campaign. So what I do day before now, I wasn't using people. Just to be clear, no, I'm joking. What I did day before was I think based on the fact that my EQ it's higher than my IQ quite often. I'm able to understand like how people react and what I need to do in order for people to actually do support me in certain things that I do. And what I plan to do before it even got approved, because I believe that this thing was going to get approved, I sent a message to literally more than 1,000 people. And which is very tough, by the way, because you can't tick on Instagram. You can't send one message to everyone. So I copy that message, I paste, I go on each and every profile.
Wow.
And I do it. And one thing that I should tell you, KJ, I've never felt so great in my life than that during that moment. I remember I was sitting on my couch, and I sit like this all the time, like a band, and I look at my phone, and I just hit this insane amount of energy that I can't even explain. But at that time, I'm believing it. And the more I push, I don't get satisfied. Now I feel like I can do more. Me, I will run through the whole list until the end. And the next day it gets approved. So I wake up in the morning, it gets approved. So my plan was to first try to raise 10,000 before I actually put it out there to people.
Okay.
Then I asked my friends to start donating. I started by donating myself, and I asked a few friends to start donating. Then, as always, 8 p.m. reached. I thought I was gonna do it like in the next day. No, my impatient self, I'm like, nah, fam. I can't continue. I can't go for another day. If I'm feeling like this now, I can't go for another day without actually exercising in exactly how I'm feeling. I remember it's 8 p.m. You know, people are about to sleep. Like, dude, it's late.
Yeah.
But then again, I send the link of my Twitter post and all of that to those 100 people. But remember, most of them had agreed the day before that they were going to post. So now I'm just like, here's the post. But now they feel obligated because they promised me that they would post.
And now they need to follow through.
They need to follow through. So through that, I was able to reach a high number of people than I expected. I mean, I remember when I got to work, people were like, hey, dude, do you know everyone? The stories of everyone were literally packed with your campaign and all of that.
Yeah.
And on that day only, I think before I slept, I had managed to raise like 35,000.
Sure. Wow.
Just to move it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And literally, that's how I managed to market it. And using my LinkedIn as well, which is great. LinkedIn is like such a great tool to use. I've been seeing like so many managers trying to actually putting in money and all of that. And so literally that was the marketing strategy that I used.
That's amazing.
No,
I'm just saying that's amazing. That's really amazing, man. So it doesn't seem like lockdown has got you down, eh?
Actually, this is the best time so I think one of the best things for me to happen was struggles always make me better. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, the more I face hard stuff, I just become better and I become harder. And it's like UCT all the time. I was financially excluded like more than 3 times, if not. But those struggles, I'll wake up one day, I'm like, no, I'm not leaving this university, and I'm going to try to make sure that I come back from university. So even now, I just become, so when it's normal, I'm okay. But when something ticks, like I like challenges, if that makes sense. Like university experience has taught me to do that. And, I'm also not okay with just sitting and complaining about it. I can complain about poor people struggling. But the question in my head is always, what exactly are you doing in your own capacity to try to change all of this? Sure, you are seeing all of this, but what exactly am I doing? And that's when I got too excited. I'm like, I can actually manage to do multiple things. Like, I can manage to do so well in my job. I can do so well in this thing. I can help people with CVs. That's like one of the greatest things that anyone can ever give me to do, if that makes sense. Because to have an impact in so many families that I haven't even met one family that I know that we have managed to help. I mean, even my uncle that I know who's struggling, when he asked me to try to help him, I'm like, hey, I'm going to release it out of my pocket. I'm trying to not make it, biased towards my family, if that makes sense. And I guess, so it made me feel like I needed to challenge myself better. When we open to the normal season, I need to be ready. I need to be kicking ass. I need to be going for what I deserve. I need to kill it in my job. And in order for me to do that, things kind of really don't build up. Like, it's not a jump.
Yeah.
Like, you don't build a house from a foundation, then you have a house. No,
That's
I'm
true.
like foundation, then tomorrow you have it. And I believe in that. It's all these kind of things that just combination of all of that just get me to be an insanely better version of myself. And I can't waste this time. This is the time that I have to not only make an impact in the world, but also improve myself in so many ways.
Wow. It sounds like what you're telling me is everyone has the capacity to contribute to society. And we all just need to find the way that we can do that. What would your challenge to privileged South Africans be? So you come from a background where you'd consider yourself not privileged, and now you'd consider yourself privileged. And in your capacity, I mean, you're young, you're 26, if I'm not mistaken, and you've managed to raise 78,000. In addition to all the other things you're doing, you're still working, you're still editing CVs. So even in your own space, you've been able to make an impact. And I think that's because you've come out of yourself and said, look, what can I do to contribute? So what would your challenge to the average privileged South African be during COVID-19, but also beyond?
So this is what I think, right? I think sometimes what we all love talking about privilege, right? We all love, intellectualizing it. Like, we have all these terms, we understand it. But I really think even black on black privilege, there's such a thing called black on black privilege, excluding other races. And that even black people that are privileged do not realize how privileged they are, because we fixated maybe in focusing on comparing us to our white people. And because of that, every day we feel like we have to complain, or what people have to help us or have to do things for us. But we compare ourselves as like one entity to white people, but without realizing that even within our own group, there's like high inequality as well. And I think it's another thing to, I think on my side, I've been helped or being privileged to understand it because I grew up in poverty. And that's why I'm able to understand that. But one thing that I think this will take is that it will take someone to step, all of us as black people, we have our cousins who are struggling. It will take you to put yourself in a position of your cousin. And actually sometimes understand that if you were in your position of that cousin of yours that was, that is relatively poor, you will not have made it to be exactly where you are. And through that, you realize that, something as a small help actually have like a larger impact. How I'm going to come back to this, I know I'm going up and forth, but how I'm going to come back to this is that I told you I've been helped by quite a lot of people, right? And I wasn't privileged, actually. I mean, we were struggling and everything. But it's like those people are put like me at a certain position where I could not have a lot of struggles. Like, help me. They gave me a lot of privilege just to push me a bit higher. And through that, I was able to get those degrees that you talked about.
Yeah.
But one thing that they were not aware of, even though some of them were helping just one person, is that the impact that they're actually instilling today will have an impact in more than 120 people that will get vouchers in a certain point in time. So what I'm trying to say, to come back to this, is that the problem with people, or even young people as well, is that we think change mean changing the whole system, like breaking it down in one day. But even one person, even just changing one person, that has a big impact. Like how I just mentioned my story, right? And would that person have known back in the days that I was going to manage to do this? No, they were not going to. And maybe they didn't have enough cash or anything. But also, we also have access to social medias, right? To talk about this kind of stuff and to raise awareness and also to build all this crowdfunding. Literally, we have nothing to lose to actually do that. And I mean, even it doesn't have to raise 78K. I mean, it can raise 1K, and that can actually help someone to get food and manage to have something for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. So my advice is just, there's no such a thing as little help.
Yeah.
And all of us who are privileged enough should actually also review our own privilege and actually use that privilege to help underprivileged people.
Sure.
Stop talking.
No, say stop. That's a good point. Finish it.
I'm like, and stop talking all the time and intellectualizing things without actually putting action into it.
It's awesome. No, man, Bien, let me not take too much of your time. This was really awesome, and I really appreciate you taking time out, showering, putting on the most beautiful tight shirt. But no, jokes aside, thank you so much. And also, I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. You are changing lives, not only the lives of the people you putting food on their table, but the lives of people who see your life as an example. I'm telling you now, there's people who see your profile and may be quiet and don't say anything to you, but they're being challenged. So that's really awesome. Yeah, I commend you for that.
And that's what you hope to actually do by vocalizing and being able to have this kind of conversations or do this kind of stuff in front of people's eyes. It's also the bigger picture is always to have an impact in other people to also feel inspired to do the same thing, because if we all join hands together, we can help like as many people as possible. But
No, man. Thanks, man.